Back in, everybody, as I stand here on the banks of the North Fork of the Kentucky River tonight, we continue to share stories of hope, healing, and recovery. When the flooding hit, you know, Amber, it was in the middle of the night, and that was absolutely terrifying to wake up to for residents here in Eastern Kentucky.
It certainly was, Chris. And along Kentucky 476 in Perry County, countless people were all trying to escape the water, including Leanne McIntyre and her family. A year later, she is ready to move back into her home. She's getting ready. But like so many, it has been a year of trying to overcome just that one night. Last July, when we drove down Kentucky 476 in Perry County, it looked like a war zone. A normally tranquil, troublesome creek was still angry, but nothing like days earlier. The destruction was everywhere, and among those living along this road was Leanne McIntyre.
I was actually brought home from the hospital here, so this was my childhood house.
A year later, she is standing in her house.
That I tried to make it special for them.
Being rebuilt after she witnessed water rise to levels she thought was impossible.
Went out to the porch and it already crossed the road, got underneath my large heavy SUV, picked it up and started floating it down the road. So I then knew this is getting bad.
McIntyre watched helplessly as floodwaters carried her vehicle down the road, but she still had to get herself, children, and mother to higher ground.
When the waters came in, it came up our legs so quickly that we knew we didn't have a lot of time.
They took off up the mountain behind the house with scenes like this happening below. McIntyre would watch an entire house float down the raging creek.
I remember being scared, but just thinking we've got to go. There was not a lot of time to think.
Sounds of construction mean McIntyre is still out of her home. She and her two children are patiently waiting for the day to return.
I've always been someone who tries to help, and it was a humbling experience to be the one that needed help during this time.
Her employer, Appalachian Regional Healthcare, stepped up to help first. An assistant vice president of marketing for ARH, McIntyre is beyond proud of the relief efforts in the days following the flooding. It was so impactful, and despite being displaced, she too joined in the efforts.
One of the things I did was donate time and serve at the distribution center that ARH set up in a time where I needed money and my own time. It was nice to get to volunteer there to help other flood victims.
For McIntyre, there are signs of progress in her home. She and her family hope to make new memories here very soon. New paint and flooring help to erase that terrifying night. But what she won't forget is something you can't see.
I got to see some hearts of gold of people, and that has changed me for the better.
Our hearts really go out to so many in this region, and on this emotional anniversary for this region and really our state, we are reminded of the good and the tremendous